Yes, good evening. Good evening, Ottawa time. Uh, Good early morning, Juba time. It is Sunday, the 10th of December, 2023, and this is Professor Tag Al Khazin addressing you again. I apologize for my absence from the screen for some time. I was hard hit by COVID-19, followed by a hard hit of pneumonia. Almost 5 or 6 weeks, 5 weeks. But I am recovered now and I am back on this series of 3 YouTubes that will come successively within the next 4 or 5 days. There are important issues that need to be addressed. First of all, I would like to clarify something important. In my videos number 46 and 44, I did minute by minute, second by second analysis of the way His Excellency President Salva Kiir Mayardit addressed the United Nations, addressed the President of Russia in Moscow, Putin, addressed the conference on climate change in Nairobi, and so on. I think there were 4 of them. And I did political analysis. That was not an attack on the president. It was political analysis of facts, And I will continue to do that. I don't care. If people are not happy, then that's up to them. And then a person who is very dear to myself told me that there was a misunderstanding of the 2 videos. So I made video number 47, which was an explanation and not an apology. It was an explanation of the fact that people probably with narrow minds, they misunderstood what I said in those 2 videos. So I made that clarification. I reasserted my respect for the president as an individual, but the truth and the facts in the 2 videos are there to stay. There is no apology for the facts. And those are not my facts. Because I was quoting exactly what the president was saying. So I thought up front, I will need to make that explanation. Today, I will start with a very sad story, which shows how low and how cheap the lives of our daughters in South Sudan have become. I have 3 daughters. This is why the incident touched a very sensitive chord in myself. And I am not going to mind a president or mind a prime minister or mind a minister or mind a judge or mind the security. No, I won't. When it comes to humanity, when it comes to helpless victims, we have got to call a spade a spade. And by George, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Let me tell you what came out of Radio Tamazij on the 15th of November, 2023. Man sentenced to 10 years in jail for defilement and murder in Kosh County. This is what happened. This bastard, 32 years old, he raped the girl, 12 years old girl. He raped her to death. He raped her and he left her incapacitated. The next day she died in the hospital. And there was another animal as well, another savage animal with him who was holding the girl down. Both got 10 years in jail. And from a local court, Koch County Paramount Chief John Matiek Paut War. That's it. That's it. That's our standard. That's where the case went in any civilized country. The president of the country will go and pay his condolences for the death of such a girl. In any civilized country, if the president could not go, he will instruct one of his vice presidents, and we have got 4 of them. We are the only country in the world who has got 4 vice presidents. Great. And such a case, it does not go to a proper law court where there is public awareness about it, where the family of the girl feel that at least the people are with them. Why? 12 years old. I have 3 daughters. It pains me very much that this happens. Our president, our ministers, our judges, security, Ministry of Justice, we need to do a reality check. We cannot keep silent on issues like that. The soul of this girl is going to haunt us all until proper justice is done. 2 men, not 2 men, 2 beasts, they hold down a 12-year-old girl. And one of them rapes her to death, and the other one is holding her. And the case goes to a local chief court, and they get 10 years. And a compensation, yes, the compensation in cattle head, goodness gracious, I think it was 121 cows to the victim's family. The trade-off of the life of this child is 121 cows. That's the cheapest conversion I have ever heard of in my life. Mr. President, if there is an honest man or an honest woman in your entourage who shows you this video, I hope you can have justice be served, properly served for this girl. And my second issue is that 24th of September, Tamazik, 10-year-old girl, 10 years old, she's a child, was defiled by an SSPDF soldier in Nimuli town. SSPDF stands for South Sudan People's Defense Force. Defense is supposed to be defending the people, and this bastard, he defiled the girl. Oh, that's not the end of the story. The SSDF, his colleagues, stormed Nimuli High Court and removed one of their own who had been arraigned for rape and defilement. Those are your soldiers, Commander-in-Chief. You are the Commander-in-Chief, Mr. President. And one of your soldiers defiled a 10-year-old child. And then your soldiers, Mr. President, your soldiers, Commander-in-Chief, stormed the court of law and took away their colleague and ran away. Do you want to talk about rule of law? Does the Minister of Justice want to talk about the rule of law? What did they do to this group? Did they catch the man or the girl's child dreams have just evaporated? And look at what her father said. I will kill him. That's what he said. If I find him, I will kill him. Talk about rule of law, Mr. President. Right. Another nagging issue that I brought up with Barnaba Marial several times, and I brought with Angelina Teni, is the sanctions. And I did not find one person other than my colleague and friend, Dr. Francis Deng, who understands what the sanctions are. No one. No one I talked to had a clue. They all mumble and talk and complain. The sanctions have got benchmarks. If the benchmarks are not reached and removed, the sanctions are not going to be removed. That is in very simple layman's language. So the fact that the president goes to the United Nations and his main request at the end is to remove the arms embargo so that the new soldiers can be armed. No, that's not going to happen. We can cry foul from here to eternity, unless the benchmarks are met, nothing is going to happen. But later on, I will come to that. One simple thing was child soldiers in South Sudan. Now they are rampant, they are there. They are there. McQuay can come out and say no, or he can mumble from here to eternity, but child soldiers are there. And part of it cannot be controlled and cannot be removed by the government on its own. We need help. I understand all that. So rather than blaming the people, and Michael McQuay saying that the guys who are in Cuba are the ones who are doing that, but those in Washington, D.C. and London, oh no, those are good people. They're being cheated by their ambassador down here. Goodness gracious, people are laughing. Vancouver principles. That's it. They need to be signed, and there is an office in Cuba where it can be tendered. Unless they have been signed and given in during the last 4 or 5 weeks. But until then, they have not been signed. When I talked to Angelina, she said they are not binding. Yes, they are not binding. That's not your business. Sign on them, because all these benchmarks, they need to be met. So we need to tick them off. And do we want to continue having child soldiers? Right. There was one public document that came out on September 13th, 2023. Nobody paid heed to it, as usual. Anything that is serious is being avoided. People who want to stand up and talk, people want to stand up and insult, yes. People want to stand up and contradict without a paper. Nobody wants to write. Nobody wants to sit down and do useful work so we can have change. We can have paradigm shifts in South Sudan that we need so that we don't become a failed state. Look at that. Western envoys urge South Sudan government to step up financing for humanitarian efforts. They are sick and tired of feeding the people while the government and the ministers are traveling the globe and filling their pockets with per diems. Who made this? Oh, how many pages it is? 3 pages, that's all. Canada, France, Germany, Norway, United Kingdom, United States, Sweden, and the European Union. Did I leave one out? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 strong countries who are literally feeding the people of South Sudan have made this alarming notice. Step up financing for humanitarian efforts. And the diplomatic message is, we are sick and tired of feeding your people while you are not. If you don't have this document, please let me know and I will send it to you. But for heaven's sake, somebody should wake up foreign affairs. Somebody should wake up the presidency. Somebody should wake up the whole of Juba. That this is literally an ultimatum that we are sick and tired of feeding the people. My next point relates to the East African Community, EAC. What the EAC is doing other than receiving legal cases, and there are so many legal cases against South Sudan in the EAC. What is the value? The presidency is rotational. Salva Kiir Mayardit was not elected. He had his term as an EAC. And the price was that the South Sudan had to pay $15 million in arrears. And there are other arrears still. The president said he's going to pay them all. And then there was this glamorous clapping, and he lifted the document or something in his hand. And then when he came Juba, as if he came back with $10 billion. How much was spent on the celebrations? Why? What is the value added? What can the president of South Sudan, 12 million people, give to the East African community? But that's not the important question. The important question, what will the EAC give us? What will it give us? What can it do? They are expecting of South Sudan to do stuff. What? I don't know. But our internal problems are more than enough to keep us for a century. And we paid the $15 million that could have fed people, that could have run schools, that could have helped with the rule of law. And then people are dancing, and half of Juba comes in celebration of receiving the delegation, without one person asking, what is in it for us? And then again, a document that nobody heeded. September 14th, United States Department of State, Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, addressing His Excellency James Morgan Pitia, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of the Republic of South Sudan, and referring to Acting Foreign Minister Deng Dao Deng. Okay, so that you know that this is an authentic document. This is the document. Don't ask me from where I got it. It's not your business. And this is the main point I want to talk about. Regarding former Foreign Minister Deng's request, this is in New York. These are during the days of the UN 78. For a high-level meeting during Salva Kiir President Mayardit visit to Washington, I regret to inform you that President Biden will be unavailable. Will be unavailable. President Biden has refused to meet with Salva Kiir Mayardit. Why? If I were the entourage of the president, I will probably start running away. This is a slap on the face. Everybody else met with him. Whoever requested and is in the good books of the White House was able to replace him. Did anybody do political analysis about that? And I come to my last document and issue today, written by Emmanuel Mangogdeng, very good writer. And Emmanuel is a former secretary of political mobilization and organization, SPLM in opposition, Youth League in Northern Bahr al-Ghazal state. 70% of the population of South Sudan of 12 million, 70% are under 30, some figures say under 40, but they are young people, youth. They are not the batch of Coleman Young and Michael McQuay and Salva Kiir Mayardit and Riek Machar. They are not. And on the swearing-in ceremony of the new Minister of Youth, Dr. Joseph Gang Akej, the president, I don't know for whatever reason, he said, have the youth of South Sudan truly forgotten what the Sudan People Liberation Army fought for? No, they did not. No, we did not, all of us. However, that does not give the SPLA a carte blanche to own South Sudan and to own the people. Was that a duty that they did? Or was it a courtesy for which blessings and jobs and money and cars are to be given to those fighters of the SPLA from here to eternity? Freedom fighters do not expect a reward. Freedom fighters do not need a reward. But Emmanuel goes on to ask, while the president claimed that the younger generation has lost sight of the sacrifices made during the liberation struggle, it is essential to reflect on the reasons behind their apparent discontent. Instead of blaming the youth for their lack of appreciation, President Kiir should take a moment to introspect and consider why the citizens, including the youth, are not happy. My goodness, very eloquent. Mr. President, one time I was sitting with Barnabo Marial in his office before he was fired. And I told him that there is a worrying disconnect between the government and the people. And Marial was furious. He stood up and he said, no, we are the usual rhetoric, the usual rubbish that the politicians give. I said, yeah, Barnaba, I'm not a child. I'm not a little boy, and I'm not ignorant. I know what I'm talking about. There is worrying disconnect. The government is in an island, in a planet of its own, and the people are in a planet of their own. When I was in Juba, July, August 2022, leading the public consultations on the Sud and the Nile waters, I had meetings that were organized by the presidency. The SPLA twice said they are assembling a meeting so that we can interact with them. And when we went, the Secretary General or his deputy were not there. They just didn't care about us. The third time I told the organizers, hell no, I respect myself, I'm not going again. The only way I will go is that you go down there and you send me a picture of the Secretary General sitting waiting for us, then I will go. And that's what happened. We had a very good dialogue. That's not the point. There was a simple event organized by the youth, the under 30. They were kept waiting from 11 o'clock until 3 o'clock. Nobody told us that they were there at 11. They stayed there. And we had a very good interaction with them. They did not even have a website. Nothing. They had nothing. The current people who are governing, President Salva Kiir Mayardit has been governing since 2005. It's 18 years now. The advisors around him are all over 70, 75 years old. Why? They want a car, give them a car. They want a house, give them a house. They want money, give them money. They want to travel, let them travel. If they hair their face and they want to go abroad to the Emirates to have treatment and have fun, let them do that. But for heaven's sake, prepare the new generation, the younger generation to take over. And tell them that the future is not with the current president. The future is not with the current ministers. It's not. This is nature. This is not, I am not coming up with something new. I don't want to disturb the status quo. I'm stating a fact. You cannot, because there is death, unfortunately, there is death, there is incapacitation. So you need to prepare generations for the future. You need to treat citizens equally. You cannot have those who have and those who have not. You cannot belittle the under 30s simply because of their aspiration. When I was in Juba and after I came back, probably over 300 young graduates wanted to come out of the country to go for postgraduate, to live outside. There are 2 million people who shed their blood so that South Sudan becomes an independent state. Those are the ones who deliver who deserve the respect. Those are the ones who paid the price, not by lip service, but with their life. God bless the people of South Sudan. People like me who are not with the government, who are not with this government or previous or coming, no, who are with the people. And every time Barnaba Marial used to talk to me and he said, Taj, I thought you were going to abandon the people of South Sudan. You are going to abandon South Sudan. And my reply was always, I will never abandon the people of South Sudan. And I used to quote to him that I built over 50 hafirs, over 30 wells. I slept under trees and in a tent. Was never attacked, was never hurt. And I will come to other issues in the coming days, but I don't want this to be very long. God bless you, and God bless South Sudan.